It's for the Yang Gang. Got some good news for you. I'm sure a lot of you already know. Andrew Yang has qualified for the fifth debate. That's huge. That's huge. Let's check out this story from Politico. So first of all, he is the eighth candidate. He's the eighth candidate to qualify. It says Andrew Yang is qualified for the fifth primary debate, making him the eighth candidate to do so. Yang received 3% support in a national poll conducted by Quinnipiac University and released on Tuesday. He has previously gotten at least 3% in 3 other polls approved by the Democratic National Committee, according to Politico's tracking, and has publicly said he crossed a fundraising threshold of 165,000 unique donors. Yeah, you think? The debate will be on November 20th, hosted by MSNBC and the Washington Post. Oh, great. It's going to be a propaganda extravaganza. All right. In late September, the DNC announced the thresholds to qualify for the debate, blah, 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 blah. The other people he will be joining: Joe Biden, somehow, Cory Booker, somehow. The man was literally floundering. His campaign was about to go under, and somehow, some way, the man managed to qualify for the fifth debate anyway. Yeah, nothing weird about that. Pete Buttigieg, staying afloat. Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, and Elizabeth Warren. What? Tom Steyer already qualified for the fifth debate? What? Hold up, double back. How the hell has Tom Steyer qualified for the fifth debate? Like, I'm not worried about the unique donations. I knew he was going to get that. But how the hell does someone like Tom Steyer end up getting into national polls? What, like, they don't even talk about him that much, if I'm being honest. They don't even talk about him that much on the mainstream. But you got the requisite polling numbers already? Boy, I'm trying to tell you. Being a billionaire, man, shit, you know, some benefits, I guess. Now, that's great for Yang people, man. Congratulations, guys. That's huge. It's huge because, well, for me, like, outside of just Andrew Yang, I am a big advocate of UBI. I don't like when people, we can debate how it should be implemented, but that's a debate that's going to be had regardless. Like, Yang can want it to be paid for through a value-added tax. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's how it's going to be, because it's going to have to go through a committee. He's not necessarily going to be there for that process because he is the commander-in-chief, the executive. He is not a legislator. So if the UBI was done, it wouldn't necessarily be done exactly how he wanted it to be done anyway. That's just not how things work. Okay? So there's that. But I'm a big advocate of UBI. I am also an advocate of acknowledging that automation is a real thing. Obviously, there are circumstances that kind of differentiate certain states from others when it comes to automation, like the Rust Belt and the Midwest in general. Maybe they don't see, or maybe they see automation a little bit more than somebody like myself who lives in Miami, who, if you go to a McDonald's where you have the McDonald's machine where you can take your own order, you got all these people looking at you like, hold up, what you mean? You want me to take my own order? Why the hell are they paying you then? Like, there are situations where automation, it doesn't impact everybody the same way. Got it. But automation is coming. And we do not want to leave damn near half the country left behind just because I live in an area where automation may not be as big of a hindrance to my personal success. I think that people are pretending like it has to be either or, a $15 minimum wage or automation, or UBI. That is absolutely ludicrous, because no matter what, like, so you have $15 minimum wage that could eventually be maybe a $20 minimum wage over time, plus UBI. Your job, realistically, especially given how our economy works, our economy is rigged to fail every single damn time. You want to be able to have a nest egg. Like, you want to be able to save. So yeah, $15 an hour, $16 an hour might let you save a little bit more than you could making $9, $10, $11 an hour. But if you have a UBI, whether it's 1,000 or 1,200 or based off of your income or whatever, then all of a sudden you can save a lot more. And God forbid something happens like what we saw at the stock market, where the real estate market crashed and then all these rich people took advantage of it. If you have savings, if you have UBI, if you keep your mortgage, within that $800 to $1,200 bubble, all of a sudden, you're not worried about losing your house. All of a sudden, you're not worried about losing that car. Maybe you don't have a house, maybe you rent, but you have a car and you lost your job. At least you know you got that car payment made every single month. That insurance paid every single month. Your phone bill, the basics, every single month. That's what UBI means to a lot of different people. And I don't like the false dichotomy of UBI versus minimum wage, or UBI versus a federal jobs guarantee. Because the federal jobs guarantee doesn't even necessarily mean, by the way, that everybody's going to get paid $30 an hour like a lot of these federal contractors do, or $20 an hour, $25 an hour like a lot of these federal contractors do. Doesn't mean that you're going to get a retirement like a lot of these current federal contractors do, because they're going to have to restructure their pay scale to make it so that it's sustainable. So I think that the conversation that Yang brings to the table should absolutely be taken seriously. The warnings that he puts out there should be heeded. And like I said, I disagree with Yang on foreign policy for the most part, but he can be moved left there. He's already been moved left. Horrible on Assange, got to get that together. Horrible on media censorship, really has to get that shit together. But I actually have faith in Yang, because when Yang says something, I know he's not saying it to appeal to his base or appease neoliberals. He just has believed something for most of his life, and it takes you a while to come out of something like that. Look at it. Even took Tulsi. Tulsi's still waking up, and she's probably more woke than everybody on the damn debate stage and everybody in the field. Okay, so I know, or at least I'm confident, that as Yang supporters are pretty educated, they move Yang left often, and we've seen results from this. UBI at first didn't stack on top of a social security check, now it does. He changed his tune a bit on Israel and Palestine. Much better, actually. Before it was horrid, but he's changed his tune. So if Yang people and Yang does tend to keep better people around him than most of the candidates. So if Yang people continue to move him left, Yang pays attention, he moves left based off of his supporters, not what he thinks elites want to hear. Which is why, and I said this on Twitter yesterday, man, if it came down to somehow, some way, which is not, you cannot rule this possibility out, it really might come down to Yang and Warren. You really do not know at this point. It's up in the air for everybody. But if it came down to Yang and Warren, I'm voting Andrew Yang. You done lost your mind. You crazy. Would never vote for Warren. Warren is the flip-flopper of all flip-floppers. In 2016, Andrew Yang backed Bernie Sanders. And when he was asked about this when he started running, he was adamant about making it clear Bernie was his inspiration. He still loves Bernie. He's always giving shout outs to Bernie Sanders on Twitter, gives shout outs to Bernie Sanders supporters. He loves Tulsi. Those are the people that he hangs out with. Former Bernie supporters that like him now, Tulsi supporters who like him too, or Bernie supporters who like him and Bernie, and he hangs out with Tulsi a lot. Like, the people you keep around you does say a lot about how you will run your administration. Warren surrounds herself with the establishment. Warren moves in the direction the establishment tells her to. For example, you all remember the gubernatorial election in Ohio, where Dennis Kucinich was running against some establishment shill. That establishment shill was at the time in charge of the CFPB, oh my goodness. You know what I'm talking about. CFPB, Warren's little baby. I cannot remember what it is called. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Holy shit. And so, despite the fact that this man was a neoliberal, despite the fact that Dennis Kucinich was clearly the progressive, despite the fact that if you would have paid attention to 2015, 2016, you would have thought that Warren was more aligned with the values of Dennis Kucinich than she had ever been in alignment with the values of this neoliberal. Because this neoliberal was in charge of her quote unquote baby, the CFPB, she went out of her way to endorse the neoliberal and didn't endorse Dennis Kucinich. Guess who did endorse Dennis Kucinich, though, by the way? Tulsi did. Can you believe that there are people out there really saying that Warren's the second most progressive person in this race? Warren's not even more progressive than Yang. She's not even more progressive than Yang at this point. Because you can make all the negative arguments on foreign policy for Yang. You can say Warren might be worse. And domestically, I feel like if Yang was in Congress or in the Senate already, because he definitely seems to be a very like solutions-based productivity type of person. He measures productivity in math, so he spends his time wisely. He would rather be productive than to grandstand. That's just kind of the kind of guy he is, for better and for worse. Here's the thing about that. His domestic policies are better. If he was in Senate, he wouldn't be one of the most unproductive senators in her tenure like Elizabeth Warren is. Elizabeth Warren is one of the most unproductive senators. People don't know that. She hasn't done shit. The CFPB came before she ran for Senate, in case you didn't know. She was asked to run for Senate because of the CFPB. So yeah, they may be similar on foreign policy, except for Yang never said that there were too many Palestinian babies being born in Israel, and that's a demographic reality that Israel needs to deal with. He didn't say no shit like that. So, Yang hasn't said anything to my knowledge that seemed, super racist-y when it comes to the Middle East like Warren has. And Yang hasn't pandered. He hasn't gotten it right, but he hasn't pandered. But that's why it's important. And I will say, much to the credit of Andrew Yang supporters, they are on Twitter pushing him left regularly. They will go and find things that people have tweeted about Yang, that, negative things, criticisms of Yang. They will go find those people and they will say, I actually agree with you here. I really want him to move left here. And we've been trying to push him left in that regard. I can't ask for more than that. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like that segment of Mikasa Sukasa. Also, you can help us upgrade the studio and take this show on the road to cover the on-the-ground politics that you love by clicking on that GoFundMe link in the description and donating literally anything. Anything helps. Also, you can follow us on Rockfin, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. And hey, more than anything else, people, always remember, find your balance. Peace.